I don't think it's nice you laughing. You see, I don't like people laughing. I get the crazy idea you're laughing at me. Now, if you'll just apologize like I know you're all going to, I just might be able to convince myself you didn't really mean it. Well, this sucks.
You're watching Fameless, a brand new podcast for the rest of us, where we examine the curious human desire for fame. We'll talk with fameless people about what fuels their desire for fame and the challenges they faced in pursuit of it. For the only people who know more about what it takes to make it in this world than those who made it are those who didn't. So come along with us on our journey down the bumpy road to fame, where we'll discover the only real difference between the famous and the fameless is one right turn.
Hello and welcome to Fameless, a podcast for the rest of us. I'm Guy Holling. My guest today is model, actress, and all-around beautiful soul, Natalia Taylor. It's an absolute mystery that someone this special hasn't waltzed her way into stardom by now for her beauty.
Oh, yeah. Natalia, you're so beautiful.
And grace.
I think it exaggerates how much grace you have. Thank you.
Are ineffable. And that's only about 1% of her. So please put your hands together and give a warm welcome for Natalia Taylor, our absolute favorite person. Seriously. I'm not being dramatic.
I recently heard it said that by age 10, you already know what your true self is meant to do with your life. This might explain why at age 10, I was having sleepovers with my friends and always looking for a way to come up with a dance routine or produce a magic trick video. You know, the one where you record yourself with an object in your hand, stop the tape, remove said object, and record again, presenting the illusion of a disappearing act. I know what you might be thinking. How is your career as a well-renowned magician going so far? Even though this playful phase of my life didn't lead to my attending Juilliard or a college of magic, it was definitely leading to something, my desire to be in front of the camera. According to my mom, this desire started at birth. As she tells it, I posed for my newborn photo, such that the nurses declared they'd never seen anything like it before. Although the path to my current reality wasn't necessarily a straight one, there is certainly truth in knowing your true life desires at an early age. The creative spark was in me from the get-go, and I believe that newborn photo captured the moment it ignited. Eventually, I would outgrow sleepovers, but I never stopped dancing. Even when the practical side of me decided to focus on academia and becoming a doctor sounded like a perfectly respectable career for me. As I reached diligently towards this goal, alongside working in the family business, I found my mind constantly searching for something more. And knowing damn well what my personal passions were in life, I decided it was time to bring back the sleepovers and dance routines and make a go at that magical world of acting. And what a decision that turned out to be. I'm not sure just what it is about this crazy business, but it gets into you like a drug. And before you know it, you're hooked. But it's not until you find yourself playing the role of a character dancing next to Terrence Howard on the set of Empire that you realize just how powerful that drug is. If that little girl at 10 could see me now, I think she'd say, now that's one hell of a magic trick.
You're watching Fameless, a podcast for the rest of us. After the break, we'll talk sleepovers, dance routines, and magic acts, as well as the experiences Natalia has had on that bumpy road to fame and the challenges she's faced in pursuit of it. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Fameless, a podcast for the rest of us. Oh my goodness, Natalia, how are you?
Hi, Guy. I'm good.
Good. It's so good to see you. And thank you so much for doing this. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I'm so
good.
flattered.
So your monologue was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. And some things that stood out, first of all, were sleepovers. I honestly don't remember having any myself necessarily, maybe one or two, but I don't remember them being as powerful as yours might have been. But I do remember my sisters having them.
Yeah.
And being the only boy in a family and a house full of girls on a sleepover, and you're the youngest, you became like a little novelty act.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I found myself on the floor numerous times just getting tickled to death. Seances. Did you ever do seances at those sleepovers?
The Ouija board?
Well, we weren't that high tech.
Okay.
We would lay somebody down. So great.
And like lift them?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
So good.
I would get laid down. I was like I'm going to go back. So yeah, they would lay me down. That's still bad too.
Get laid down.
So, is there any good way to say this? So I would be their subject. I would lay down, and they would just rub my temples, and they would rub my temples, and they would say all of these weird, like, seance-y
This is bringing something back
things.
right now.
Yeah, and they would do all these chants. And, you know, when you're that age, you think it's real, but you're not feeling anything. So the only thing to do to save your soul in that moment is to pretend. So they're rubbing your temples, and you're just like pretending to go into some kind of a trance or some sort of state of hypnotist, I don't know, whatever. And there was one sleepover where it got a little scandalous, and it, I guess I didn't think much of it, but it was kind of like, okay, now take your shirt off. And I'm like, well, I got to save face, so I better do that, or if they find out I'm faking it, it'll be like a joke. So I take my shirt off, and then they're like, okay, now take your pants off. And I'm like, I think this is the point where you
we have to
throw the white flag and say, I was just kidding.
Just kidding, guys, I'm back.
But what was so funny is you knew they knew it was just a joke.
But you trick yourself as a kid. You want that imagination to run wild.
Right.
So you're like, maybe it is true.
Yeah.
Maybe it is true.
Right.
So that was your first acting gig.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. Never thought about it like that. That's great. But I never thought about those sleepovers until you talked about them.
Yeah, it has been a while.
And how important those things are when you're growing up and 10 years old and your magic act. So how much magic did you ever develop, or was it just fun?
No, I didn't develop that skill, but it was just fun creating. I loved creating a short little film, and I never thought that was going anywhere. It was just fun. And friends would show up, and then I'm like, okay, guys, let's do something. Like, it's time. So we'd make a routine or get the video recorder out, like the old big ones.
Right, yes. So the magic act probably became an opportunity to perform in front of people.
Yeah.
Right? So you can be right there in front of people, and you have an audience. And
you bring your parents in at the end of the night, show them what you've done.
Yeah.
It was always very fun.
So cute.
Yeah.
And even so back then, we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
We don't really, I've said this before, but it's like, ooh, I want to be an actor, but don't look at me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know if playing the magician allowed you to play a character so it wasn't you.
Right. I think that is a huge part of it. And the more I reflect as I get older, I think about my fear of public speaking, which is pretty profound. And just, I was always scared to give speeches in high school. And so it's kind of interesting because that dichotomy doesn't really make sense.
Right. No, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I think what I am seeing is when it is just me, that's the vulnerability.
Right.
So standing in front of your classroom of all the students that know you and you're trying to teach them something, that's so horrifying to me. Knowing that someone in the crowd knows me is scarier than a room full of people that don't know me.
Right.
Because I don't feel they have enough to base their judgments off of to make me feel worried. So I think that's what I've thought about. But
That's great.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there in school too, and they're about to call on you, and your heart rate just starts pounding out of your chest, and you can see your heartbeat in your eyeballs.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Right? And you're like,
I'm not, hands, palms, everything, the heart rate's so fast that you're like, I can't even talk right now.
But yet at the same time, it's the most thrilling experience in the world.
Yeah.
And you walk like a soldier into the front line of potential death.
Right.
Because
that's what you think it is.
Right, because it's that serious.
Yes.
Sorry for anybody who is fighting. It's awful. But it is that serious to you. Yeah. And the changes your body goes through is insane. But you continue. What makes you overcome that and just walk into that fire and perform? Yeah. I think it's overcoming the fear.
Yeah, and that feeling you get after of satisfaction. Yeah, pushing through something you're worried about. Even this is was scary for me when you first asked. That began the anxiety, uphill anxiety battle. But that's just me. Yeah. I'm so flattered, and it's an amazing thing to push through and do, and just always finding those little ways to get uncomfortable. That's why I think acting's exciting. Right. It's really uncharted territory for the most part, still for me. Right. So yeah.
And don't you find those opportunities like something like this as a school? It's like school. It's like acting lessons, and it's like just learning through the school of hard knocks.
Yes, it is.
Setting yourself up with these opportunities to try to learn more and get better and be better and overcome that fear because that is so debilitating.
Yes, and I think it's very scary, but when you have someone like you, who I really admire, ask you to do something and to talk about their life, you just know. That's a sign that you're supposed to be doing that. Yeah. That is not something you say no to. So I think I'm also trying to listen to those cues from the universe or whatever you call it, that it's something you need to do and make it, grow from it. And
Yeah, for sure. You've got to keep going. Yeah. And you've got a few things on your resume, which are really exciting. Oh. And we've talked about you meeting Terrence Howard, which is just that
was so surreal. God. I feel like one of the first A-list big actors I've met. So it didn't feel like I was there. But that was when I was still kind of more just modeling. And I got a call late at night one night from my agent, and she said, we have this opportunity. It was called a featured extra, so you're not just your typical extra, you're a little bit more in the forefront, and I was like, absolutely, yes, I'll quit my job, whatever you need. And she said it would be a scene with him in a club, and I was, definitely in right away, and it was just a really interesting experience. It was a 16-hour filming day for one little scene. So you really see what goes on to make that happen. And that was fascinating to me. And I love watching the cast and crew and everything they do and their little nuances and sometimes their little bickering moments and things like that. It's just very interesting. And
I used to be absolutely enamored by anybody doing anything behind the scenes. Yeah. And when I was doing way more non-union stuff, I'd be like, what can I do? What can I help you with? Let me carry this. Let me do that. And I would just schlep anything I could. Yeah. And then when you started mixing the whole union, non-union thing, then they're like, no, you can't touch any of that. You just need to go back and be the little actor. And I never, ever once put myself above anyone.
Right.
Anyone. No. Even an intern running and getting coffee or some silly thing. Yeah. When I did Chicago PD, I get so much mileage out of this one episode, but I brought my own lunch. Oh. I brought my own lunch, and I showed up at base camp, and this amazing woman was the first person who I met, because I knew nobody. I didn't know her.
they say this business is really lonely, and oh my gosh, it is, right? The whole drive down there, I knew nobody. I knew I was going to know nobody. Yep. I was going to be responsible for dialogue. I was going to be responsible for a character. Yep. I'm among actors who are well known for their roles, their characters in this series, and all of a sudden I come out of the blue like a complete nobody. And it's lonely.
Yeah, that would be scary.
You don't have anybody to even talk to about that.
And do you have your own trailer for this episode?
I had my own trailer.
Okay, so you sit in your own trailer.
I sat in my own trailer, and I hid.
Oh my gosh.
I hid. And I sat there with my own lunch. And so this knock on the trailer door, and she's like, hey, we have craft services. If you want, we can take you down there. This is no lie. We can drive you down there. I wasn't even 50 yards. This is no lie. I wasn't even 50 yards away from the tables where they had it all set up.
And they were going to drive
They were going to drive me in a van.
Wow.
And instead of saying, that'd be great, sit down in the van like I'm all somebody.
You're like,
instead, I'm like, oh no, it's okay, with my little tail between my legs, and I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want to think I was anything more than I am. And I said, no, I actually brought my own lunch, but thank you. And I went and hid in my trailer until the knock on the door. We're ready for you. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Why? What drives me to make decisions like this?
Yeah.
And there I am.
Wow. What a cool experience.
But they were amazing. They were really great. And they just make you feel really welcome, and they make you feel really safe.
Yes.
And that might be Chicago.
Yeah, it could be. It's hard to know until we have like more of a vast set of experiences in this. But yeah, it is nice to see how well they take care of each and every person on a set.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes with, you should always view everyone involved in a project or in life as no less or more than yourself. We're all here creating something or working hard at things, and I don't think there's any less value in even in you versus the actors who've always been there.
It's a collaboration, and I think that's the thing that I love about this industry. There are so many art forms, but a lot of them are very much solo, right?
Yep.
And when you can get into a collaborative experience with that many people who all rally around one concept, one cause, or like even with our amazing, talented crew here, everybody has brilliant ideas. Yeah. There's not a single person who feels like they're not,
contributing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want them to feel like, no, my ideas are now, wow. This wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't for half of their ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're just brilliant.
I can tell just from the day already. Just awesome kids. I'm calling them kids.
Yeah. And they are. That's what's so incredible too.
Yeah, to be that smart and
Right. And I think that just having the ability to be part of a collaboration like that is what drives me every time. But then I get there, and I guess I downplay my role in that collaboration, and I start to have a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And then suddenly my responsibility in that collaboration falls apart. You're flubbing lines. You're not really with the concept at a level that maybe, because you're worried you're not hitting it correctly.
Or that it's not worth it, or
that's
not an important role.
But, Yeah. No, even if it's something like really major, you just downplay your ability to perform.
Yeah.
And you start attacking yourself, and you've just got this really poor level of self-esteem. Like, I have all the self-esteem in the world. Like, I could look at myself and go, yay, cool, look who I love.
Good, you should.
I love you, right?
You should.
But I have no self-confidence.
Oh, okay.
Zero, zilch, nada, nothing.
In your abilities? Or
Like if I was my only audience member, man, I'd be selling out every night of the week.
Oh,
every night of the week.
Okay.
But when there's other people, I'm like, oh.
Do you think if there were more of these times to practice that and to be on set and see that it's always a gentle, nice, warming place, that would help? Or do you think this is something?
And more consistency.
Right. Yep.
Right? You get one every whenever.
And then you celebrate that. And you're like, wow, that was not so scary after all.
Right. And then you talk about it for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
When I did Chicago PD.
And everybody's like, yeah, who
It was
cares?
amazing. Craft services. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't.
Yeah, did I tell you they wanted to drive me 50 yards? Yeah. I was special.
That's a beautiful day. I would talk about that too.
Yeah, no, I can never put myself above anybody, and I don't ever want to even consider myself being, above anybody in this industry, especially because everybody is so instrumental in the collaboration.
I agree. I agree.
I just want to get better at being confident in mine.
And that's just as important as what you just said, is recognizing your value too in all of these moments.
Right.
And that you are extremely talented and kind to others. So seeing that reflection would be really good.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is where I don't do well, because you're giving me a compliment.
Yeah, and you're like, your eyes are like, oh,
yes,
no.
I'm looking for places to hide. I'm like, where can I hide and still,
backstage.
And I want to run and just be like, no, it's no good. So, I just wish that I could take a compliment. And that's something that you do so incredibly well. Like,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Like, to give you a compliment, the way you take it, you make the person who's giving you the compliment feel like they've just been complimented.
Oh.
And it makes me want to just give you a compliment so I can receive a backhanded compliment and feel better about myself.
I love that. No, I've had to work on that muscle, though, of accepting it and not wanting to deflect or change the subject or diminish what someone said. And I think it does really make people feel special when you receive what they're truly saying to you.
Right. And you do it with such grace.
Oh,
and I think it exaggerates how much grace you have.
Thank you.
And it becomes so palpable, right? And I love that about you. I think it's really great. So thank you for just being you.
Oh, same to you.
So let's just practice. Oh, Natalia, you're so beautiful.
Oh, no.
You're so talented.
No.
No, now you're being me. Oh, we're role playing. Let's do a reversal of roles.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Oh my God, Natalia, you're so talented. You're so amazing.
Oh my God, I love your pants.
The deflection. Yeah, that's a deflection. Okay, what's the turnaround? Oh my God, Natalia. You give me a compliment.
Okay. Wow, Guy, you look so good. Your hair, like it's not in your eye anymore.
Yeah, great. So, hey, how you been? Are you doing all right? Yeah, I mean,
but your hair,
you look great.
Did you do something different? It looks so good.
So where'd you get the necklace? I mean, the necklace is beautiful. It just compliments.
I see where we're going. Yeah,
I don't know where we're going.
This was fun. Good practice for us.
So, all right. So,
we'll work on ourselves.
We can work on that. How do you work on that? How do you develop that muscle? You say that you developed that muscle, like you worked at it.
Yeah.
How? And do you truly believe it? It's like,
right.
Oh my God. Or do you walk away going, okay, I pulled a fast one on them. They thought I was really thankful.
No, lately I'm learning to believe it more and actually soak it up. But I think I even just heard this recently in another podcast where it's so important.
There's another podcast? Who has a podcast? Isn't this an original idea?
They bring famous people on too. Ew.
Do they have craft services?
Gross. Yeah,
we have a little. Did you have any?
Yeah, you do have craft services today.
I can drive you there.
I'm impressed.
Come on, get in my chair and we'll drive you there.
I'm so impressed.
That's about how fun.
That's a beautiful craft services, though.
Wonderful.
But yeah, so I think over time, and also just a part of growing up is realizing that you do have values and parts of
you're
you that are
valuable.
Good. Yeah.
How about that?
And you really have to believe that. And obviously I have days where I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Or I didn't get that audition again, and you feel like crap and all of that. But I try to build that muscle of like liking and loving myself so that I can also do that and love others. And I think the more you have that for yourself, you actually get to give it back. So
you said loving yourself, liking yourself. Like I said before, like all the self-esteem in the world, but no self-confidence. I don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So I wore this little bandana.
My favorite.
My wife absolutely hates it. She'll be mortified, by the way, when she watches it.
She doesn't love it, but I like it.
Yeah. But Natalia said she likes it.
Yeah,
so
we had an argument.
So I thought, dang it, I've got to be me, right? My wife's been controlling me my whole life. I'm just kidding.
She seems like
that. She's so amazing.
She's like the best
thing
brilliant. Ever. She's so sweet.
Yeah. Boy, talk about just,
Yeah,
special,
she's adorable. Special. And just from my one day meeting her, but yes, I agree. You two are great together. You're very good people. It's really special.
Yeah. That's funny because when you said the one time you met her, so Natalia had an opportunity to do an audition for Chicago Med, and I got this text. And it said, oh my God, I got an audition for Chicago Med. And I think he said something like, I'm dying.
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something. So I immediately said, okay, so how are you set up for
your self-tape?
Self-tape. And I was really, really hoping you were going to come back and say, I'm not. Please help. I mean, I was really hoping. I'm waiting, going, please. I just want to feel useful. I want to be important. I want to think that,
you have something to contribute to that.
Yes. Yeah, so I was so glad when you responded back and said,
and offered to pay you.
No, I remember that. No, I'm the one who offered.
I know, and that's what you said,
Yeah.
and that's just how kind you are. It's like find that much joy in offering to help someone do something for themselves is just wild to me. I mean, I think I have that attribute sometimes, but it just felt like so genuine. You're like, no, I'd love to help, and you went right to work, like trying to find a wardrobe and all of these things, and I'm like, that is just, I don't know. I have really kind people in my life, but that was like a next level kind of moment.
Well, I hope you take advantage of it, because I'm just so grateful for the opportunities. Please just know that. Matt Damon, when they did Good Will Hunting, they wrote that because nobody was going, right? They weren't getting auditions. They weren't getting a lot of, and so they're like, we need to like self-advocate and just like write something and put something out there. And they go and put this big hit out there. So I guess that's my way of being like, well, nobody wants me, nobody's calling me, so maybe I can do my own thing.
Right.
Which is where this comes from.
I love that.
And it's just, I all night last night, all morning, I just kept going through these moments. If somebody would have been watching me, I think they would have been like, what in the hell? But you're just like giddy with excitement. You're thrilled, you're excited, you feel, it just all makes so much sense. You talked about it in your monologue, right?
Yeah,
like you just knew.
Yeah, there's something there. And it always has been, even if it manifested in different ways. You can just feel, you're like, I mean, even this past weekend, I had some friends over, and suddenly I'm performing musicals for them. Like, it's just like, I'm like, which musical do you want me to perform? Whether they wanted it or not. They did not buy tickets to my one-woman show, but it's just in your soul, and it comes out, and you have to utilize that somehow.
Absolutely.
Just for fun.
Yeah. And who cares if you're not famous or making a ton of money? I don't think that's what matters.
Yeah,
it's being part of that process and being involved in it, whatever capacity.
I completely agree.
So, we shot your audition, which was amazing.
Yes, it went really well.
Yeah, it was spectacular. And did you hear anything?
I didn't hear anything, but honestly, like, just the way we set that up and did it, I felt so good about it. And regardless of the outcome, I was just happy that we put so much into it.
Yeah.
I was proud of the product, but no, I haven't heard
There's
it.
definitely things that we could do, like little things which my crazy perfectionist brain would just hyper-analyze.
Yeah.
But aside from that, at the core, it was pretty great. Like your talent and your look was amazing,
Thank you.
right? So if you don't hear anything, you can rest assured knowing that you've got the talent and you've got the look.
Oh, well, thank
And
you.
it comes down to those pesky creatives sitting there going, that's the one,
Right.
or that's the one.
Yeah, it can be subjective in the end, and this one felt to me. I felt proud of what we did, because you helped obviously so much, and so that's what I left with. That's the feeling I left with, and I'm not really disappointed. I think it would have been great to be on set, but I feel like I gave them a good audition.
Right,
so,
and you keep going, and you're on their radar.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I did an audition at the beginning of last summer. And Andy Richter from Conan O'Brien was directing it. And I put everything into it. Because why wouldn't you, right?
Well, and you do that in general.
Right.
So yeah, I believe it.
So it was to play a grizzled action movie hero.
Okay.
So I researched all kinds of action heroes. And I'm like putting this wardrobe together. And I'm developing my character. And it was just a little commercial, right?
Yeah.
And I got the call back. So you're
excited. They like you.
You've got something.
Yep.
The look, the talent. You're okay,
they
right?
Hook you in.
And then you get the check avail.
Yeah.
So now okay, I've got everything it needs.
Yep.
I just need that one person
to
argue their cause and be like, that's the guy. But I didn't get that. And when I guess in that moment of time between not getting it and seeing the final product and who they did hire, I was beating myself up. I was questioning my talent. I'm questioning my look. I'm questioning my creative decisions. And all of a sudden, one day I'm sitting around going, I'll bet that's out. Start Googling it.
Oh my gosh.
And there it was.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, it had nothing to do with my look and nothing to do with my talent. Because the person who got it could not have been any more opposite
Of you.
if you tried. So you're left going, they clearly had a different idea in their mind. Because I got to the callback, I got to the check of ale.
Yeah.
It was between me and the guy with the other color hair.
That's what we'll say.
Yeah. And it went to the guy with the other color hair.
Yeah.
So
It's just funny that we beat ourselves up, though, in that when you really don't
You
know
do.
how that decision maybe had nothing to do with your
Absolutely.
talent, your look, your
Yeah.
ability,
Yeah.
And
so
that's what I think that's another muscle you have to work on, not you, just all of us, is not taking it personally.
Right.
And just keep going.
Right.
You're working
Yeah.
towards it. Failure's okay.
yes, yeah, it absolutely is. And you know what? Like I said earlier, if you're getting auditions, you're not failing.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I actually think of that as
Yeah.
always a good sign. I love
Right,
seeing an audition email and
Yeah. And people are always like, oh, you have to be able to handle rejection. I've never been rejected.
Yeah.
Have you ever been, go away. You can't be here.
I probably
No, they're
made
like,
it up in my head. Then.
no, you get a phone call from your agent.
Yep.
Somebody obviously accepted you,
Yep.
wanted you, brought you in.
That's true.
How is that rejection?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't ever feel like I've been rejected.
Yeah.
I've missed a million things.
Me too.
But I've never been rejected. I think that's such
I
a
love
silly way to
that.
look at
I
it.
love that way of saying, yeah,
Yeah.
not rejected, because that's more of like a negative action versus not
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
So Chicago Med would have been your first
Real speaking
yes,
role
yes,
on a TV show versus a commercial. But the first TV show though that I got to be on was as a featured extra when I was still just modeling more so and hadn't taken an acting class or anything
Yeah.
like that. And that was for the show Empire. So
Yeah.
which I know I mentioned.
Yeah, in your monologue, and I just sit here going, oh, because
Yeah.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah, he is such a powerful person, and he really is. It translates.
Talk about a look. Talk about a talent. Talk about it. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
he's in
that
every
guy.
movie.
Love him.
And he's so smart. We talked obviously quite a bit because we were on set for 16 hours, and he recommended books, and he's just an interesting guy, and definitely wanted to help everyone around him.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Shortly after I shot Chicago PD, I was walking down the hall, and the TV was on, and my wife and son were watching Empire. And I looked up, and I'm like, now that's a show I want to be on.
Oh.
And I said it out loud. I said it to everybody. And the next day, this is no lie, I got an email from my agent saying, hey, we have an audition for you for Empire. And I just flipped my lid.
So
I'm like,
cool.
are you kidding me?
Would have been great to be on set together.
Oh, wow.
Dancing in the club.
Yeah, there you go. Aw, but that's so great. But that audition was a little bit off my, I think that I didn't fit the criteria. But
Okay.
you do it because you never
Yeah,
know.
definitely.
You change their ideas.
Right.
I know your character for Chicago Med was a bit older.
Yeah, I
But
think
you're
so.
like-
It was 40s to
Yeah.
50s, and I'm like, oh.
Right, but that's like a spec, right? That's
Right.
like the writer going, meh.
Yeah.
And then everybody following that.
Yeah.
But until the creatives see those auditions and you give them an opportunity to change their mind.
Right. And you can act up or older.
Absolutely.
That's how you
Absolutely.
say it. But they're ultimately going to choose what the right fit is when they feel it. I think
Right.
that's kind of how that goes.
Right.
It's not always
Absolutely.
logical. But
Right, yeah. It's never
Yeah.
logical.
I was going to say, I don't know when it ever
It's
is.
very messy.
Yeah.
It's very messy. And
Yeah.
we are on the butt end of it.
I know.
Like the butt end.
It does feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. That's why I will never put myself above anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all in this
Yeah.
crazy thing together.
God. I'm not sure how A-list actors get there. I would never, it's not me, it's not my personality.
Yeah.
I would much rather
Be who
that.
you are, and it does change them. I mean, I ended up being on Empire a few episodes, and I saw Alicia Keys and supermodel, what's her name, Naomi Campbell, which she kind of deserved me just for getting her name for a minute, because she was, you just see the side of people that you're like, oh, this really did change something in you. And you're not seeing this room of people as people. There are some people you can see that in.
Yeah.
So I think it is nice to know we can still chase this dream and still be kind to people and treat others well. And get to that point.
Yeah, which is a perfect opportunity to say thank you again.
You're so welcome.
This whole idea of fameless isn't because of people who are failing and haven't made it. It's because of people who are out in the trenches and fighting and still have a heart and a soul and a spirit and a conscientious attitude and care about each other and look out for each other. And it just feels good to know that when you're in that trench, you got a gang of really amazing people, maybe not famous, but amazing and talented.
Yes.
And I would rather hang out with them any day of the week.
Me too.
So I can't say thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for having me. What a cool opportunity.
Gosh, I hope so.
Thank you for tuning into Fameless, a podcast for the rest of us. Join us next time when our guest will most likely be fameless, so you don't know him anyway. Until then, stay fameless. See you in the grocery store.
It's incredible. You know, shortly after I shot... shot myself.
Okay.
Oh, that's incredible.
I think I just snotted a little bit.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I said that to you. Oh, my God.
That's too funny.
Germs.